Dinnie and good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone, and welcome to Dinnie and Virginnie, the podcast. Yes, it's once again another lovely episode of Dinnie and Virginnie, the podcast, in which I don't know what I'm doing and I don't have a proper opening yet. On today's episode, as you can see, it is episode 22, in which I will be talking about the Virginia Air and Space Science Center in Hampton, Virginia. And I just wanted to talk about it live because I went there recently, so I wanted to talk about it while it was freshly on my mind. For those of you who have been with me since I was on TikTok, you know that I used to do this thing called Dinnie Deep Dives, in which I would talk about either an event or a place that I was currently at or had just experienced. And I realized I stopped doing those for a while, but I like doing those because it's like I always did it when it was fresh on my mind, when it like just happened, so that I can give you my honest, genuine opinion about something while it's still fresh, And I realized that I haven't done that in a very long time. So now that I have Dinnie and Virginie the podcast, I realize I can go back to doing that again. And honestly, I don't know why I stopped. I think I was just lazy. Full transparency, Dinnie can be lazy. So once again, today's episode is about the Virginia Air and Space Science Center in Hampton, Virginia. I went this past weekend on May 4th to celebrate Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. But the main reason why I went was because the Chesapeake Public Library currently has a program going on in which if you have a Chesapeake Public Library card, you get access to certain museums for free on certain days. Now, you got to go to the Chesapeake Public Library website to know and scroll down to the bottom to know more about it because I don't have the link on me right now. But yeah, just go to the Chesapeake Public Library website and there'll be if you scroll to the bottom, go to the one that has like a picture frame or whatever. And like I said, it's going to be as long as you have the library card for Chesapeake. I don't know about the other cities, but for Chesapeake at least, as long as you have the library card and you tell them about it on the day of that they're offering the special, you'll be able to get into that establishment for free. Now, admittedly, most of the museums that they talked about are already free museums. So that's why I really wanted to take advantage of this one because I believe it costs around $22, $22.50 to get into the Virginia Air and Space Science Center. So I really wanted to take advantage of this because it was absolutely free and I didn't have anything else planned that day. So it was good to jump on. So now let's go into a Dinnie deep dive of the Virginia Air and Space Science Center in Hampton, Virginia. Now I'm going to let you guys know, I believe it was open from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. That's 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And I got there maybe around like 1:30. Actually, I got there around 2. I was supposed to get there earlier, but I had a meeting and I didn't want to start the day there, stop for a meeting, and then go back to doing the stuff. I don't like breaking my stuff up. So I just had my meeting and then I went to the museum, or the science center rather. And so here are my thoughts. Now, I go to these things typically, I am by myself. 9 times out of 10, I'm by myself. And I have no kids. So it's just me, this grown up millennial, going about trying to have fun as an adult. And for me personally, I will say it wasn't the funnest of times because it was a bit too educational for me. And I'm not a science person, to be honest. So it's like, I think it's a really good bucket list item for those of you who live in Hampton Roads. Maybe at least just once in your lifetime, if you live in the 757, just get over there just to see what it's like. I would recommend it more so if you had children because the kids seem to be having a ball. They were just running around, looking at stuff, touching stuff, learning about stuff. And kids are just like, I don't know, science and kids just go well together, I guess, because they seem to be having a great time. They're making a lot of noise and just running around and enjoying all the stuff that they can climb on, all the stuff that they can observe, looking at stuff. There's a game room, which was my favorite part. But yeah, for me personally, it's not quite my thing. But if you're into space, if you're into um like aircrafts, there was a lot of aircrafts up in the air there, boats. There was some boat a couple of displays about like boat miniatures. If you're into just space and aerodynamic stuff in general, NASA, if you're into stuff like that, then that's going to definitely be your jam. I'm going to say that for sure. Because there's plenty of stuff to look at. You just have to take the time to look at the stuff. And there's a lot of opportunity for learning. Like I said, it's a very educational environment, personally. For me, not quite enough entertainment. Although, as I said, the game room was my thing. But I was so horrible at every game I tried. I only tried, I think, two and a half, and I gave up because I was so horrible at these video games that I had to quit. They're not like, they're not like, it's not like Galaga and like arcade games and stuff like that, Space Invader. It's not like that. It's educational based video games where it's like one of them you had to pick up rocks and drop them somewhere. That one I was completely horrible at. Another one I was like, "Ooh, I can be kind of like Sonic," where essentially you're this little drone thing that you have to operate and fly it through these rings, and you have to fly it through the rings within a certain amount of time. That one I was actually decent at, but still ultimately failed at. But I would say the game room was my favorite part of the entire museum. Now, another important thing to note about this science center is that there is also an IMAX theater there. Now, as of May 4th, the date that I went, how it went was that if you bought a ticket, included in your ticket purchase is one free admission to see one free IMAX movie. So basically, they had four movies, I believe. And so there was certain timing of showings of the movies that they had. And so depending on what time slot you picked determines what movie you'd be able to see. It was like four different movies. Me personally, I don't think I like IMAX. This is the second time I've seen IMAX, and I'm just not an IMAX person. I prefer just a normal theater experience. I don't know. Maybe it's a me thing. I'm just not really an IMAX person. And the movie that I happened to pick, like I said, was a bit too, it was just too educational for me. It felt more documentary-esque. I think the last movie that they were playing that was about the future, like super futuristic stuff, I think that one probably would have been better. That one looked more entertaining because it was all about super futuristic stuff. So it wasn't like I don't, at least I don't think, because I didn't see it, but the name entailed that it would be like super like technologically advanced, like just showcasing a bunch of animations and just made up stuff. And I think that would be more intriguing for me personally, because I'm more captured by entertaining things rather than educational content. I do also enjoy entertaining and educational things, but when it's like strictly documentary, that doesn't keep my attention as much as like edutainment, where it's like education and entertainment combined. For me, the movie that I picked was just a bit too educational. So I dipped out really early because, like I said, I don't think I personally like IMAX. I think that's a me thing. That's just a me issue. But overall, I do not regret going. I'm happy I went. I'm super happy the Chesapeake Public Library did this system to this year so that I could take advantage of it and get entry for free so that I can try it out with no repercussions. I don't feel any type of way. I don't feel like I have to do certain things, and it doesn't bias me at all. I got in for free. So literally I had nothing to lose. So I'm really, really happy. Shout out to the Chesapeake Public Library for doing this partnership with the local museums in Hampton Roads this year, because it has helped me see both the Norfolk Botanical Gardens, which I've never seen before because you have to pay to get in there, and the Virginia Air and Space Science Center in Hampton, Virginia, because you have to pay to get in there. So thank you, Chesapeake Public Library. Woo, shout outs to y'all, because you enabled me to see things that I've never seen before. And now I know that both items, I believe, are good bucket list items to experience at least once if you live in Hampton Roads, the 757. So just only if you live in the seven cities. I don't think it's necessarily something that you have to travel miles and miles across waters and countries and lands of all sorts to get to. But I think it's, if you already live in the 757, I think they're really good bucket list items to get done. Not necessarily every year, but at least once in your lifetime since you live here anyway. So yeah, I think that is all I have about that. Like I said, there was a lot of stuff to see, a lot of things to read, very educational, a lot of displays, a lot of planes in the sky. There was one machine that everybody was lined up for because I think it was a simulation where you were like in this pod and they were just like moving you all around. So I understand why people were waiting and lining up to go into it if it was free. I don't know if it was free or you had to pay extra to go in it, but I get why people were lining up. There was like a very long line in a crowd. That was where the biggest crowd was to get into this one mechanism where I think you sit in there, and I saw it was like a little pod that just like went around and around and around. So I presume it's some type of simulation that they put you in and you physically feel it, which is really cool. So I do think that they did well with the games. That was very entertaining. The one where I simulated like being in the cockpit and actually navigating a space shuttle, I think that one could be a lot better. That one I wasn't feeling very well. I think aesthetically it's nice, but the gameplay itself was kind of like, I don't really know what's going on here. Other than that, let me see what else is there. I didn't even go to the gift shop, but they do have a gift shop available. And like I said, a lot of the kids that were there, they were having a great time. They're having a grand old time. There are 3 levels, but I think at the top level, the only thing you can do is go to, like, there's like a lookout area. Don't lock yourself out, okay? Don't get locked out there. I think there's a lookout area up top. I didn't even go out there. There was a family out there, so like I said, I don't want to be a creepy adult hanging around people, by myself. So I just let them go out there and went back downstairs. So it's mainly the bottom floor and the second floor that has most of the stuff that you can do. And yeah, that's it. You got the IMAX, you've got the planes, you got a couple of boat displays, you got mainly NASA space planes, airships, stuff like that on display. You have some miniatures, you have some actual huge things up in the air. I saw Saturn up in the air. That was cool. One of the coolest things that was just floating above you is the astronaut. I think he was one of the coolest, like, aesthetically pleasing guys to just be like up there and you're like, oh whoa, there you are. Hi dude. How you doing up there? And there's like this sunroom. I didn't really understand that, where you go inside and I think you have to sit down for it to start simulating stuff on the sun. That one actually I think would be cool if you go in with headphones and you blast rave music. So that is something to, I don't know, maybe put on your list of things to do. Is if you're going anyway, bring some headphones, sit in the sunroom and the solar community room, and put your headphones in, and I think just blast rave music like Sandstorm, stuff like that. And I think that would be a much better experience than just going in there and just looking at it. But other than that, yeah, I'm really glad I got to go. It was a cool experience. I get to check that off of my Virginia Hampton Roads bucket list item, so I'm very excited about that. Definitely have a lot more things to do. I hope you guys enjoyed this Dinnie deep dive. While it's still fairly fresh in my mind, not super fresh because it happened 2 days ago, but still fairly fresh. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys are having a fantastic, wonderful day. That's all I have for today's episode of Dinnie and Virginie, the podcast. Like I said, I hope you guys are having a fantastic day, because it is yet another beautiful day here in VA. So until next time, Dinnie out.